when the truth does not need words. In the noisy world of knowledge, where people are engrossed in the search for understanding through words, and reasoning, Ramana Maharshi appears as a lamp of silence, illuminated not by the noise of thought, but by its absence. He did not preach. He did not try to convince. But anyone who has ever sat in front of him, even for a few minutes, has the same experience. An overwhelmingly deep stillness, as if the whole self dissolves in that presence. Even without saying a word, Ramana Maharshi has revealed a power that no language can fully describe, the power of pure presence, of absolute stillness, the foundation of all enlightenment. This article is a heartfelt message for those who love the teachings of Ramana Maharshi, for those who are seeking the truth, for those who are learning to let go of the ego and to realize that it is always there. The immortal being, who am I? Ramana Maharshi, not a person, but a presence. When it comes to Ramana Maharshi, any conventional concepts such as spiritual teacher, guru, or sage are not enough. Ramana went above and beyond. He did not play a role, he did not preach, he did not spread any dogma. He is only present as the nature of the universe itself. Ramana Maharshi never claimed to be a guru. He did not accept disciples. No sections. It does not set rules, rituals, or religious forms. And he has never written textbooks, arguments, and philosophical explanations like scholars. Yet thousands of people from all over the world, from 1900 until after he left the body in 1950, still flocked to Arunachala, not to hear a sermon, but to be in his presence. Ramana does not need to preach, for he is the manifestation of truth. Like a fire that doesn't need to be said to be hot, Ramana's presence doesn't need to be justified. People who come to him do not need theory, they feel something beyond thought, an energy so calm that it shatters all mental limits. A Western meditator once recounted, "I walked into the room and saw a person sitting there, quietly. No one said anything. After a few minutes, I felt all the thoughts in my head dissipate like smoke. I've never felt so free. It's not a hallucination. It is a natural reaction when the ego, which is an illusion, is directly illuminated by the light of the true self. And that light doesn't come from words. It comes from the silent awakening in every breath, every look in Ramana Maharshi's eyes. No doctrine, because presence itself is doctrine. People come to Ramana and expect him to teach a method. He did not come up with a technique. No practice is given. No hourly meditation is required. When asked how to become enlightened, His Holiness simply said, "Ask, who am I?" When the question is asked correctly, the questioner disappears. And the other one, that's what you're looking for. The seeker never achieves liberation because the seeker itself is an illusion. When the search dissipates, enlightenment is not the result achieved, but what is always there. And this is the foundation of all true spiritual principles. Enlightenment is not about attaining anything, but about shedding all that is not ourselves. Ramana, the pure mirror that reflects the false self. A strange feature when approaching Ramana, you don't see him, but see yourself. It's not who you think you are, it's the naked core within, the I'm fearing, hiding, trying to reveal. Ramana doesn't see you as an individual. He sees through shapes, titles, emotions, like a mirror. And under that gaze, the small, limited, anxious, arrogant, fearful self began to shake and crack. Many people come and cry when they look into his eyes, because they face themselves in an inescapable way. No more masks. No more roles. And the other thing is a deep, but not frightening, emptiness. It is freedom. No ceremony, no formality, just be present. No smoke, no bells, no chanting. In Arunachala, dozens of people sometimes sit around Ramana in complete silence for hours. He said nothing. Neither did others. And yet, after that sitting, everyone walked out as if they had just bathed in the river to cleanse their minds. It is the power of true stillness. No sound is needed to be heard. No words are needed to understand. That silence has no method. It does not come from will, cannot be created by effort. It happens when you let go of control completely and simply be present as you are. Who am I? The question that breaks the illusion of the ego. Of the countless teachings handed down from Ramana Maharshi, just one sentence is enough to shake the foundations of all thought. Who am I? Who am I? At first glance, it seems like this is a simple question, a philosophical game. But if you really ask that question with all your attention, with a defenseless mind, without looking for an intelligent answer, then the whole ego structure will start to waver. This is not a question to be answered, but a question to dissolve the person who is asking. The root of suffering, the illusion of I am the body, I am the mind. Ramana Maharshi points out that all human suffering stems from a core false belief: I am this body, I am the one who thinks, I am the one who feels, I am the one who acts. From this root of error, all thoughts, emotions, anxieties, desires, and fears are born. Ramana is not against feelings or thoughts. He just pointed out, go back and see who is having that thought. Who is feeling this? Who is the me behind all these experiences? When you practice it, you are no longer in the role of an experiential, but an awake observer. And when that observation becomes so profound that there is no one left to observe, you fall into absolute silence, where the ego dissolves. Just ask, and stay with the feeling of not knowing. Ramana says, let's trace the line of thought back to its origins. What caused the thought to start? Who sees that thought going on? When you go back like that, thoughts dissipate. And the other thing, the real thing. When asked, how long should I meditate every day? He replied, who wants to meditate? Let's find that person first. Find out who is asking. When the inquirer disappears, there is no more meditation, no more disturbance, only self-nature. It's not about learning with reason, it's about looking at yourself silently. Who am I is not a psychological analysis. You are not required to recall memories or classify personality traits. This question is not to analyze, but to dispel. What is destroyed is the false shell of the ego. Like light shining on a ghost, causing it to disappear, this question is that the light shines directly on the delusional self. He taught, you don't need to destroy the ego by force. Just ask, where does that self come from? And where does it go when you don't pay attention to it? That way, you see it's not real. The question opens the gateway to absolute silence. In the course of meditation or everyday life, when a strong emotion arises, anger, desire, fear, instead of running for a reaction, quietly turn inside and ask, who is angry? Who is afraid? Who wants that? Don't answer hastily. Don't try to explain. Just ask, and let that question gnaw at the ego, like a fire that burns hay. Ramana emphasized, there's no need to resist thinking. Just trace the person who is thinking. When you see no one is there, thoughts automatically disintegrate. Then you don't need to try to stop the mind, it stops naturally. There is no need to hide from the world, you see the world as yourself. You don't have to run after happiness, you realize that your nature is happiness. In conjunction with the Bhagavad Gita, knowing yourself is selfless action. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, says, he who has seen true nature is no longer moved by joy or sadness. He dwells in himself, knowing that he is not the body, not the mind, but the immortal true self. Ramana Maharshi does not contradict this. He lived fully in that spirit. When someone asks, if you are enlightened, do you need to work anymore? Who is working? When the individual ego dissipates, the action still happens, but there is no one left to enjoy or suffer because of the result. This is karma yoga, the act of selflessness, as Krishna taught Arjuna. Stillness, not outer silence, but the true immobility. We often understand stillness as a state of no sound, no talk, no commotion. But in the language of the enlightened beings, especially in Ramana Maharshi, silence, mauna, is not the absence of sound, but the absence of the self. When Ramana is silent, it is not because he has nothing to say, but because his presence is a living answer. There is no room for language to intervene. His Holiness once said, "Silence is the highest teaching. Words are only necessary for those who do not yet understand. When the truth is clear, there is nothing left to say." Stillness is the foundation of all knowledge, all phenomena. When you see an object, hear a sound, touch an object, all those experiences appear in one common ground, awareness. But the platform is noisy, shapeless, it's still, motionless, and all-encompassing. Ramana points out to the searcher, stillness is the source of all knowledge. Every concept, word, image is born from there and disappears into it. Stay in that foundation, you will find yourself as a pure, undivided knower. Mauna, the language of truth. In the ancient Indian tradition, there is a very famous saying, Yato veko nivartanta prapya manasa saha. Where words and thoughts cannot reach, that is truth. Ramana Maharshi is the embodiment of this. When people ask complex questions about karma, rebirth, salvation, he usually does not answer directly. Instead, he looked at the person with eyes as deep as nothing, and the questioner understands that the answer is not in words. Some people have recorded those encounters. They say that it was his silence that caused their minds to stop. And when the mind stops, what they're looking for naturally appears. His Holiness said, "The mind is noise." When the mind stops, silence appears. And in that silence, what you really are revealed. Not to escape from the world, but to see the world in stillness. Many people think silence means to leave the world, to go into the forest of meditation, away from work and people. But Ramana lives among many people, in the middle of the temple of Arunachala, in the middle of the world. He did not retreat into isolation, but remained completely calm in all circumstances. That stillness is not sound suppression, it is an unwavering inner self. Even if there is noise around him, he is like the surface of a lake without ripples. Because what fluctuates is the mind, not the sound. Ramana says, "You can be in a crowded city and still be a hermit. It is also possible to be in a mountain cave and still full of disturbing emotions. What matters is not where you are, but whether you still believe that you are that little self. Stillness doesn't need to be created, it's already available." A common mistake in meditation is trying to create stillness. People force themselves not to think, try to keep their minds quiet, and then get frustrated because their minds refuse to obey. Ramana Maharshi said very clearly, "You don't have to do anything to be quiet. You just have to stop believing the noise in your head. When you don't cling to your thoughts, stillness naturally appears. It's always there, it's just that you're lost in the noise and you don't see it. That's why he didn't teach meditation with techniques. There is no need for regulating chi, no need to count breaths, no need to chant mantras. He instructed, stay still. Know who you are. Don't run after your thoughts. Do nothing. Just be there, and you will see that silence does not leave you. Stillness, not the state, but yourself. Another profound misconception: many people think that stillness is a state that you reach. But if it's a state, then it comes and goes. If it is an experience, then it is still a phenomenon. Ramana breaks this down to the root. The one that comes and goes, not you. What you can observe, not you. You are the one who is always there, unwavering, non-existent, unaffected by any state. And that's silence. You don't have to go anywhere. Not trying to be a quiet person. You are still when you no longer identify yourself with the things that are born and destroyed. Practice stillness in the middle of life. It's simple. Don't react. If you want to practice Ramana Maharshi's teachings in everyday life, start by not reacting. When an emotion arises, instead of a habitual reaction, anger, reverb, runaway, acting, stop and observe. In that moment, if you don't react, you'll notice a stillness between your emotions and your actions. That's the real friend. Ramana taught. Between a dissolved thought and a new thought that hasn't yet arrived, there's a gap. Recognize that gap. Pillar in it. It's who you are. The Supreme Power, it's about doing nothing, just being present. Ramana Maharshi once said, "The Supreme Power doesn't need to do anything, it just exists." It's because you don't know you are that, you have to struggle. Silence is not weak. Silence is the greatest power because it does not depend on any conditions. It's not offended, it's not wavering, it's not entangled, it's inclusive, it's observing, and it's always free. When you return to that stillness, nothing else can stir you. There are no more people to hurt, no one to be afraid of, no ego to protect. There is only a brilliant and endless presence that is enlightenment. Stillness, not something to be achieved. It's something you've never lost. As long as you stop trying to be and accept justice, then stillness will be apparent, all-encompassing. And then, you are no longer a cultivator, you are a living truth. Quiet encounters that change a person's whole life. There are those who sit still in his presence for only a few minutes, but come out as if they have just undergone a deep spiritual operation. There is no teaching, no ritual, only an energy field so pure that it separates the ego without touching it. 1. Paul Brunton, Western journalist and encounter with vivid truth. Paul Brunton, a British writer, helped bring the image of Ramana Maharshi to the West through his famous book A Search in Secret India. When he arrived at Arunachala, he was not very trusting. As a keen observer, he came with an analytical and skeptical attitude. But as soon as he entered the room where Ramana was meditating, he was struck in the heart by something words could not describe. He recounted, "I sat down and looked at him. He said nothing. But a strange silence began to engulf me. My mind, which was always talking non-stop, suddenly went blank. A deep peace that I had never known before filled me." That night, he had his first awakening experience, as if all the world had vanished and only pure knowledge remained. He later wrote, "There is no technique. There is no theory. There is no explanation. And that's why it's the most real, the most powerful." 2. Annamalai Swami, a person who serves the teacher and learns to turn work into meditation. Annamalai Swami is one of Ramana Maharshi's closest disciples. But instead of meditating for hours, he was entrusted by His Holiness, building fences, sweeping yards, mixing lime, pulling water. At first, he thought, "Why didn't you let me meditate deeply? Why do you make me work hard?" One day, he asked His Holiness. Ramana replied, "Who is working? Who is upset? Let's track down that person. While pulling the water, trace. When sweeping the field, trace. Nothing but that is necessary." Annamalai complied. After a few years, he recounted, everything became meditation. There is no longer a distinction between meditation and work. Every moment is meditation because the mind has been burned in the fire of querying, who am I? 3. The angry man and the dissolution of the ego with a single glance. An angry, rebellious, dissatisfied man with life came to see Ramana. He spoke loudly, attacked morals, mocked silence. Ramana didn't say anything, just looked at him. A few minutes later, the man trembled. His eyes were red. He knelt down, hiccuping like a child. He said, I don't understand why. I don't understand anything. But I know everything has just collapsed inside me. I could clearly see that I was living wrong. I'm not me anymore. Ramana still didn't say a word. Just quietly put his hand on his head like a father hugging a child who had just returned home. Presence regardless of religion, country, class. Rich people, scholars, Zen masters, Christians, Muslims, atheists, peasants, children all come to Ramana, and no one is treated differently. He doesn't ask you what religion you follow, what you believe, how you practice. He simply asked, do you know who you are? For stillness has no religion. Truth does not divide people according to class. Enlightenment does not belong to culture. The reality that Ramana points to is the one that transcends all forms and names. Ramana Maharshi did not leave a sect, did not establish a dogma, did not teach techniques. He is only alive, still, present, and complete in reality. That stillness is not external silence, but the immovable basis of all phenomena. That is what you are when you no longer cling to the self. The question, who am I, is not to answer, but to dissolve the person who is asking. When there is nothing left to hold, what is left is not nothingness, but absolute freedom, the overwhelming stillness, the light that cannot be defined, but is clearer than everything that has ever been known. There is no need to follow religion. No need to do anything. Just stop, go inside, and realize you have never left wholeness. And that is the greatest teaching, in the silence of a master who has never called himself master. Namaste.